So, today we're going to be discussing the energy of the womb and healing your womb from trauma energetically. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about what the womb is and different tools that you can use to start this process of self care and of healing.
So, in just speaking about the energy of the womb, when we say womb, medically, we're speaking about the uterus. But when we speak about the womb or the yoni, we're really speaking about the reproductive organs, the surrounding organs, and the womb on an emotional and on an energetic level. Think about the uterus, the vagina, the ovaries, the cervix, and the surrounding organs, the bladder, which sits in front of the womb, the colon, the large intestine, small intestines, which sits behind the womb. We think about the spine, the vertebrae that sits right behind the womb, and the pelvis that holds the womb in place and protects the womb. How much memory our wombs have and how it can be linked in terms of our DNA to different lifetimes as well. We also think about the water because the womb is the water element. The milk. When we breastfeed, comes from the womb. The amniotic fluid. It vibrates to the orange element. So it vibrates, whether that be orange clothing, orange crystals, the sunset. It vibrates to that healing fire, that warm energy of the sun when it's setting. Of anything that's orange, it helps it to vibrate more freely. We think about the glands associated with the womb, the ovaries, the prostate, and as well the emotions surrounding it, the sensuality, the sexuality. Our creative energy comes from the womb center. Our feelings. When the womb is in balance, we're able to have a sense of security. We're able to have a healthy sexual outlook. Our creativity is expressed more freely. When there's imbalance, there is the guilt, maybe an emotional numbness that you may experience. There can be poor boundaries that you set for your life when there's an imbalance in the womb or a rigidness. And also when there's imbalance physically, conditions begin to arise. Sexual disorders, emotional instability, fibroids, tumors, cysts, urine and bladder issues, because all of these organs are so close together. Kidney issues, they work hand in hand. So an issue with the colon will definitely impact your womb as well, and as well with the bladder. So we're just talking about the energy of the womb and how much surrounds it. The womb has more neurons in it than the brain itself, and it really is the brain of the woman, and it houses lots of memory. It has a remembrance of everything that you've ever experienced starting in the womb. And then one thing that's special and different about women is that we have when we're in the womb, when you were in your mother's womb, when I was in my mother's womb, I already had the eggs for my children to come inside of me. So that means that whatever my mother's energy was like and whatever her lifestyle was like was affecting me directly, not only her baby, but her grandbabies as well. So this energy, as you're being born, you think, well, what did I do, in my life that caused this to happen? It may not be, and it may not be something that came from your actual actions. It can have come from your mother's actions, or your grandmother's actions. And then knowing that your mother, also was in the womb, and so all of that energy is just passing on unless there's some work that's being done to heal, to cleanse, to renew, unless, the work that we do today is going to definitely affect, how our grandchildren come out into the world, and if we are able to do the energetic work that needs to be done, it can stop some things from crossing over, some trauma that we may have experienced from crossing over into the next generation and presenting itself in the lives of our children or in the lives of our grandchildren. So when we think about womb trauma, we're thinking about deep wounds, things that, that happen that are blocking the spiritual energy of the womb, right? So these are blockages in the spirit of the womb that are created from our life experiences or from past life experiences of those in our lineage. These are wounds that are created in our body that don't have an outlet. It may have been hidden, it may not have been talked about. And then when trauma is experienced, there's something that happens where, where your spirit kind of has to, it just kind of, you don't come all the way back to your full self of who you are, So it's as if your spirit, is not trusting to be back fully in your body so that you can fully experience life. So there's that kind of blockage that happens that stops you. It puts you in a place of fear. Sometimes this can happen where you don't want to fully be yourself, or you're not fully trusting life that you can be yourself because these wounds are so deeply embedded and they haven't been dealt with, and it can affect our daily interactions in our life, how we exist, how we experience our relationship with other people, whether that be in a relationship with your parents or a relationship with a mate. It can hinder the way that you're fully able to express yourself. So it's like as you work through the trauma, you come back into yourself. You're giving your soul permission to fully to be free, And at the Yoni Institute, we use the principles of Ma'at to judge that, because the principles of Ma'at, truth, justice, balance, order, harmony, righteousness, and reciprocity. So if you're not living your truth in your life, that's injustice to the womb, If there is things out of harmony, if you work all the time but you don't get play, if you don't get time in nature, or you don't allot times in your schedule for your healing specifically, then this is a disorder that occurs, and it can be traumatic to the womb. Other things that can be traumatic to the womb are, when you have to have surgery. That is a trauma that the womb is experiencing. When you have to hold on to, things that may have happened to you as a child, like molestation, and you don't talk about it or you don't get it, that's definitely, when it happens, that's a womb trauma, And then there are little things, or things that seem little, that are traumatic to the womb as well, which is just, not getting enough sunshine in your day. That's traumatic, because we move with the universe. Our bodies move with the universe. Our bodies are made up of the elements of air, fire, water, and earth, just like the universe around us. And so if we're not actively engaged in those elements and we're just in an office all day, then you can see that womb issues become created from that. So thinking about the cycle, thinking about how to release trauma, there's different steps that you have to go through. One thing is, first of all, acknowledging that there is trauma or that there is pain. There's something that's not being said. And after you're able to acknowledge it, to feel that pain, feel the pain, and it's a good healing in being able to tell your story and tell your pain. So that's part of the cycle. But the next thing is also to know that as women especially, we have the power to transmute all energy. So we can change negative energy. We can recycle that energy back into the earth. We can change it into positive energy. And so that's the next step. After you're able to, come out of the denial of the trauma, then you are able to tell your story. After that, you're basically transmuting that negativity and making it into something positive, or recycling it in the earth and giving yourself positivity. And then from that, you can now tell a new story, because in every trauma, there is a situation, there is a lesson, there's a learning. So we're retelling our story. And then after we do that, we can bring our spirits back into our body. We can now reconnect with that piece of ourselves that's just hiding, in a corner of our life, and keeping us from really experiencing life in a way that we are free. So the first thing is affirmation. So affirmations are very helpful, and especially if you do them every day, you can change the way that you think about the world. You can bring a positive outlook into your life, bring about more optimism. It changes the way you think about yourself, and it sets things in motion. It's a way that you really create your life, because your thoughts become your reality. So if you're having negative thoughts, or you feel like I can't do it, I'm not going to be able to overcome, then those are the things that you're going to see around you actually happening. So we have that much power that whatever it is that we think and we speak, we'll actually see come to fruition. And that's why people create vision boards, because once you visualize it and you can see it clearly, then you can create that existence in your life, and it puts things in motion for you to now be able to take those steps to see, your vision come to fruition. And that's what affirmations do for us. It puts positive, affirming life energy to what we want to see happen in our life, And it helps you when you have those negative thoughts to transmute them, because now, you might have had a habit of thinking negatively about things, but now that you're saying your affirmations every day, when something comes up negative, you can immediately address it and say, no, that's really not true. That's a false belief that I used to have, but actually this is what it really is, or this is what's really happening, Or when you get into those tough situations where someone may be projecting their pain onto you, you can say, oh, I see that person is in pain. And you can, stop yourself from personalizing the things that happen around you, and just seeing things more clearly. So these affirmations are definitely a way to help you to overcome womb trauma. And it also helps you in terms of being able to meditate, to just clear the mind, to let go, to feel safe. The next thing is being at one with nature, taking nature baths, walking through the park, swimming in the beach, especially the ocean, the water, because our womb is water. And being women of African descent, we're always close to that salt water, to that Atlantic Ocean. So the spiritual baths brings us back to that type of healing, to just cleansing the energy. So there's there's many types of spiritual baths. I'm going to focus on two types of spiritual baths. There's a spiritual bath that you can take to cleanse away negative energy. And then there's another spiritual bath that you can take to bring positive energy into the body. So where you may be used to spiritual baths where you pour the water over your head and it cleanses away, or making a tub of water, this is the one that I love the most. And what you do, you're always going to have your sea salt element in the water. And what makes it a spiritual bath is the spiritual prayers that you say into this bath, along with the spiritual energy that you put into the bath. So you're bringing in the elements of the earth into this bath. You can sea salt. You may have some essential oil. I love rose essential oil. It has the highest vibrational frequency on the planet over anything. It's like, so I love to have the rose essential oil or rose petals. But you may have different herbs depending on what your needs are. And then the other thing is bringing in your crystals, the gemstones, and getting that healing and putting the gemstones into the bath as well. And these are different ways of raising your spiritual energy. And then after you do that, you can now say what you want to do. I want to, this bath is with the intention of releasing anything that does not serve my highest good on this earth or on this planet. So you want to speak your blessings as you put each element in. You're speaking your blessings for that bath and for yourself when you enter the bath. And then at that point, you just lay in it, or you can take a spiritual bath in the shower and pour it over your hair. But now one thing you want to be mindful of is that if you're taking a spiritual bath, you're not also bathing in that same bath. So that is a whole nother, this is its own ceremony. It's not, you're not going to take soap and a washcloth and bathe your body while you're doing a spiritual bath. So the spiritual bath is just for that spiritual energy. And then the other thing is washing up the body when you're adding, if you're making a spiritual bath, to add positivity into your being. And you start at the feet and you cleanse all the way up until you get to the crown of your head. And this is the adding. So you take away the negative, but generally when you take away the negative, you're just taking everything away. When you take a bath, everything comes off, the good, the bad, and everything. So that's the releasing and that's the cleansing. So now you want to add the good back in. And then the next thing is the womb Reiki. The womb Reiki is so important. Reiki, even Reiki, either one. But to have this energy work done is so very important. But what we do specifically with womb Reiki, clearing of the past, clearing of the present, and a cleansing of the future generations as well. Also look at your foods. Taking in less dairy is going to be really wonderful for the womb, especially if you're dealing with anything like fibroids. And then lastly is exercise. Exercise and breath work is so important. If we're breathing correctly, then our wombs are going to be able to be filled with oxygen and circulate properly. So just with doing some womb yoga or some form of yoga, doing aerobics, and then also meditation and focusing on that breath is going to be very wonderful for replenishing the energy of the womb. The next thing is forgiveness rituals. So there are meditations that are for or affirmations for forgiveness. And forgiveness is one of those things that come from the heart. It's not, you can't forgive thinking about, oh, what did this person do? Were they right or were they wrong? Forgiveness comes from just knowing that this is another human being, and that we all have a soul. It's from a soul place. It's a heart to heart. Like, I just love you. I just love the universe, And so I forgive, And then what the forgiveness also does, and thinking about my aunt, is it helps you to be lighthearted. And this is why my aunt has the ostrich feather in her hair, because it reminds you that to be lighthearted, you can't hold on to everything. And it assists you with that process of forgiving and of being light. And one of the principles of my aunt talks about, one of them says, I will not eat my own heart. And the way that you do that is by indulging in anger and worry and fear and the lack of forgiveness and just holding on to too much. You're eating away your own heart. So while you might feel like you're feeling this way about someone else, it's really your body and your womb that you're hurting, as our womb is directly linked to our heart center. So a lot of the conditions that come in the womb are, direct relationship to the stress that we feel and to the heavy hearts that you may be holding. So you can have the forgiveness meditation. Another forgiveness ritual that I like to do is just writing, down what you forgive, writing down whatever the situation is, writing a letter about it, and then letting it go. I forgive so-and-so who did this to me, who harmed me in this way, and just burning it in the fire, or even sending it to that person. But if you can't do that, then just writing a letter and releasing it and letting it burn away.
So let us continue to take care of our wombs, to be part of this movement to heal 1 million, one womb at a time. Peace and love. Take care of yourself.